request. So back in November, December timeframe, we did our annual request of how much TIF tax dollars we were going to need from there. And then those dollars get allocated back out basically for economic development out there.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, what's next, Libby?
Looks like library's up next.
What page is that on?
That is on page 33.
Hi there, I'm here also with some trustees from the library board to discuss the budget. Like all departments, we will be seeing an effect of the bargaining unit agreement. And also we did request, instead of filling a 20-hour a week, a half-time, part-time person, holding that back and not filling that and moving it to a full-time position. That's one of our bigger requests this time through. And then most of the other costs are based on past expenditures. And much of what we are planning to do in our strategic plan that I'll talk about at the next council meeting is based on our strategic plan that we did last summer. We did a survey. We had a really good response rate from that survey, and we took a look also at our demographics in town, and so that's it's going to be guiding some of our guiding principles behind what we'll be doing in the next several years at the library.
Yeah, so out of committee, trying to remember what did we concentrate on. I don't know if we talked a whole lot about the full-time. I mean, it was in the budget. It is in the budget. So I don't know if we need to talk about that at all.
Well, if we're 2% over, if we want to do a 2% cut, and then we'll have the library board allocate it, the best way possible, that's an option.
So with the new full-time person, it does add approximately $45,000 to the budget. And with how tight budget is this year, I would recommend not going with full-time person, adding another full-time person this year. Obviously, that's up to you, to the council, but it does take a significant portion of that increase that we have in tax revenues this year. So
That includes benefits?
that includes benefits. Yeah.
That's a net increase based off of the part-time?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's assuming they'll select insurance at the highest rate.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay, Jacob, we
How
talked
would you
about...
characterize the impact of that, Shirley?
Cool.
Well, one of the things that led to that decision to request that position is that it's increasingly difficult to find the qualified people we need to only work part-time. We just have a very difficult time finding high qualified individuals who only can do part-time. And even though I will say being a part-time employee with the city is really a pretty good deal. The city does do sick leave, holiday, vacation, prorated. You still are not going to make a car payment working part-time at the library. Maybe a car payment, you're certainly not making a house payment. So when we're listing what we are hoping for in a position, but it's part-time, it really limits our applicants. This last time out, we got some nice qualified individuals, but they all have a regular full-time job, and they thought maybe it would work just to add a couple hours on a week. Well, we really need to have a full-time I feel, to get those qualifications that we need.
Are there hours of operation at the library that are less impactful that could be trimmed to save some of that payroll expense?
I think based on our surveys, I did just actually look at some of our usage numbers because another library, the Carroll Public Library, was reaching out to us to talk about hours. And so I was looking at that, and surprisingly, our Sunday hours are way up there. In fact, they were so high a couple of weekends ago that I called that staff member to say what was going on, and I double-checked the door counter. But, you know, this last Sunday we had Girl Scouts meeting at 12 o'clock, 4-Hers at 2:30, or vice versa. So while there's always some time that you might walk in and see it's not as busy, it's hard to say, okay, we'll be closed Thursday mornings, because that's the time that's not as busy. So then you're like, how does that affect the payroll? Well, I guess we move our full-time staff to a night, or, you know, it's a very difficult thing to manage. We probably, let's say if we reduced our hours, we'd probably let go, you know, maybe some part-time.
Well, some of your part-time people work, what, 5 hours a week?
Mhm.
You and I have had this discussion before, so this isn't gonna come as a shocker. Yes, Jacob, I'm on board. I don't think we need to hire any staff, increase any staff. I personally think we're open too many hours. We're one of 2 libraries, I believe, in a 150-mile radius that are open on Sundays. 3 years ago, you were strongly encouraged not to open on Sundays, but you did it anyway. So what you've done is you've created a need. So now it's just like everything else, we go to take it away, we're the bad people. Now, I want to take it away, but I can't tell your board what to do. You work whatever hours you want, but I don't need to keep increasing personnel to do it. Because I think we're way high on there for hours. So I'm not in favor of any part-time or full-time employee increases at this point.
Well, historically, we have been open on Sunday. We've been open on Sunday for decades. I think under Sue Croce's directorship, she closed on Sunday. We reverted back to that in January of 2018. So there's a long history of the Lamar's Public Library being open on Sunday. In fact, they used to be able to print the library cards with the Sunday hours on them because they were secured in their, you know, their financial footing. So while you may feel that way, that certainly wasn't what came across in our survey. It just isn't there that people want us to close. And the data's not there. I did a very extensive analysis in 2019, and I shared that out with the board and the council at that time, with every cert per hour, every door count per hour, divided it 2 to 3 different ways, and the Sunday hours hang on just as high as the others. A lot of libraries are open till 9, we're open till 8.
So before you were open on Sunday, how did these people survive? I mean, because
I'm not saying the full-time position is to keep us on our Sunday hours.
No, and we need to maybe
Okay.
get off that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would agree.
I'm saying that as far as employees, what I see, employees, part-time and full-time and regular time, you've got plenty as is. That's my opinion, and that's just my opinion. What you do with your hours is your business. What you do with your hours is your business. But
And it's based on, you think it's plenty based on, I don't know. So you make that decision based on,
well, we keep talking about your strategic plan. I don't want to get into this, but basically you had 650
Households.
You had basically 650 responds to your plan. Is that correct?
yep,
And 300 of them never go in the library.
That is,
Well, that is very true. By your pie chart that you provided for me, I'm showing that once every few months, so you count that as a user. And then we've got once or twice per month, that's a user. Never, 66. So by the pie chart you gave me off the survey that you took, I'm showing that 350 people in the community use the library regularly. And yet you're accounting for and yet you're accounting for, and I don't wanna, I'm not gonna pound my chest, but you're accounting for 8.4% of the total budget.
8.4% of the general fund budget, yeah.
Of the general, well, what other budget is there?
Well, there's your total city budget too, but.
Well, no, the general fund, because that's your pleasure, right? That is correct.
Right, but when you're saying they don't come into the library, that doesn't also mean that they don't use the library. A lot of people are using the library through their ebooks and their audio downloads too.
Okay. So, but then on the same note, you're gonna use the same pie chart to scream that you need more space. But if they're not coming into the library,
So how do you account to all the responses that we receive that like, do more programs, do more books, do more, have a
I'm
bigger
gonna go back
space?
to the pie chart that I've sliced out saying you got 300, I mean,
And what page is that one on?
Well, I'm not even gonna.
15, okay.
If we opened up the indoor pool, I guarantee you we'll have more participants. I guarantee you we will have more usage of the indoor pool if we run the thing 12 months a year. But that's not even a logical thought to do.
Right.
Okay,
right.
so you can make facts say whatever you want to. You can make figures say whatever you want to.
Sure.
You and I are reading them differently.
Right.
What you don't know is that I'm promoting, we go into a phase 2 with you. I emailed you on August, whatever it was, and said, let's move into phase 2.
Right.
Now we're getting into your next week's deal with the strategic plan and all that. The point is, I'm willing to give you more space.
Right.
Phase 2. We're doing the same thing with the cop shop. Okay? Are you gonna be open to that? Are you gonna be open to that?
Is that part of this budget?
Yeah, let's.
Well,
I mean, I don't know
It all
part-
morphs into this, it all morphs into the same
I
budget.
know, but we need to keep this on this fiscal
Yeah,
year
let's stay on
budget that we're
task.
talking on. Let's,
Okay.
Jacob has made a recommendation, you made your point clear.
Good enough.
Let's hear from the other council.
Do you have openings now that you're having trouble filling?
Yeah, we have one that we haven't filled. I mean, technically we have it posted, but we just couldn't get, for the $12.69 an hour, the hospital starts people at 15.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, so the idea is if somebody would come across that might work, we'd probably interview, but we'll probably wait until July or, maybe June, post in June. And then, because then we'll have a different pay scale to offer, because the bargaining unit takes into effect.
So right now,
It's the 20-hour one, that's all.
correct,
Right.
the 20-hour one that's not open, that hasn't been filled right now. It was advertised within a range, so for base of either the library aide or library tech is the next one up. So I think the base of library aide is like $12.69.
I think $12.69.
Library tech, I think, was 14 something.
I don't remember that off the top of my head.
So come July 1st, based on the new bargaining unit agreement, the base for the library aides can increase to $14.19, and the base for the library tech's gonna increase to 16 something, I think. Those are a lot more competitive than what they are currently. So I think it'd be interesting to see if it'll be easier to fill that as opposed to now.
One question I had is why don't we pay this loan payment out of the trust account?
Because it's a city building would be my basic answer on that one. It was normally, like with the police building and the park, and the public facilities building, those were just paid out of city funds. And so when we were trying to get our building renovated, we did raise about half of the money with donations. And then we were able to apply for an interest-free loan. And so the city did apply for that loan. But in order to make you know, it has to balance, as Jacob always says, you know, you have to balance it out of the book somewhere, and it has to be accredited to something, and it was the building that we're in.
I just add that, you know, the 649 survey responses, I'm one of them, and I'm not sure everyone that uses the library responded. So, I mean, surveys are a snapshot of a moment in time. I'm not sure I can explain that better, but it's just like, I just don't feel like it's probably, we can't say, well, this percentage goes in there once a week, so we know the exact number. There's no way.
Right.
So,
Very good point.
So our goal here, and based off of sitting in this early committee meeting, is to assign them a dollar amount as the library board to do with whatever. So if they want to hire 5 new full-time people,
No,
that's up to them.
no, because that's ongoing, that they cannot do.
They cannot.
They
Okay.
cannot do that, because that's an ongoing expense that has repercussions.
Okay.
I mean, employees, am I correct on that? Employees has always been.
That's always been a gray area that I've questioned too. I mean, if they decided they wanted to hire 15 people, well, it does affect the city because, I mean, you have to approve the bottom line. I mean, because we're paying insurance, it affects us. So it's always been a question of, shouldn't we have a say in how many employees they have? Because it's not like a blank check, okay?
Right.
But I don't know what the legal,
Well, I don't think in 8 years that I've ever, except one exception, it's always been you come and you ask to hire an employee because of the ongoing costs, okay? So, but yes, as I understand it, you give them, here's your money and this is what you do. But I'm gonna go back to Brian's, I do believe the 45 should be up in the main budget. Jacob, did you or did you not tell me once that you thought it belonged at 32? And
I
then-
mean, I think it definitely can be paid out of there. If I was controlling that set of funds, that's where I would pay for it.
And I think it's appropriate for it to be,
I
because
don't-
like you said,
Which
half
part?
The trust fund.
the trust,
Oh.
because that was given to you guys for library improvements.
I wasn't given with any stipulation.
Right.
The stipulation was for the library.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Not for the city.
Yeah,
But you
exactly.
weren't
Well,
supposed
for
to,
the,
but you're not gonna pay utility bills with it, that's my point.
I really, you know, I will say that this is one that really always comes back to haunt me every year at the budget. I thought we would be doing the city a favor by applying for an interest-free loan. We were, but it's haunted me. Every budget year, it always comes back, you should pay for it. You should pay for it on trust. So I really think that it's a city obligation. It's a city building. We did a lot of fundraising. We did get some other grants. We got a $60,000 grant. We got other grants. And then, but every budget year, you know, we get told, oh, it should come out of our trust account. But that was before, now we have a trust account. Before we had a trust account of about 12,000, so.
So what should it be used for?
Well, whatever the library board decides, and basically, we're gonna, you know, look at the strategic plan and make those decisions, but it's a city building. The city signed that agreement with the USDA
Sure.
for that interest-free loan, right?
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
So can you
how-
tell us how the trust fund is currently used?
Right now, that is what, with our strategic plan that we have looked at, and one of the big items on there is more space. So that is going to be one of the goals, to implement some of that use. Other than that, it is used to, if there's like, the general trust fund is used for, we usually run summer reading out of that, because there's a lot of incentives and things that we give that would not necessarily be tax dollars. We would want that out of the trust fund instead.
Was the revenue from the trust fund accounted for somewhere?
The
Or would
trust,
that be a transfer in? Or how does that work?
the expenses are paid directly out of the trust. So it's its own separate fund, and we actually don't really include it in the budget. It would, if we included it on the summary page, it would be more down under the enterprise funds. Because we basically board.
Well, you didn't say, the state statute said that.
Well,
Then it goes, yeah,
When
it's,
we put the
yeah.
donation in there,
Well,
that was kind of. we were
it
saying-
wasn't put in there by you, it was put in there by the designee who gave it to the library board. And by state statute, anything gifted to the library gets put in a trust fund. And so it is on your monthly treasury report though.
Financial
Yeah.
report, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no one's saying it shouldn't be used for
Right,
library.
right.
Let's get something really,
Well-
really straight. It shouldn't, but when we put $600,000 in new improvement, why wouldn't you be paying for it?
I don't know why,
They didn't have it at the time, that won't.
I understand that. I understand.
That's the easy answer that Shirley wants to give you.
well,
Yeah,
the easy
so-
answer is there's no incentive to ever look like for something like that again, when then it gets brought up every single budget year, so.
So the gift came after the building
Yes.
project and after the
Yes.
loan and all that.
And the balance was paid off by the city like it did it for every other city building that they enhanced and built and worked with.
Yeah, but I don't think Kevin Manavic's got a trust fund. I'm pretty sure. So it's,
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, I think that's how we've set it up, how it's been going. I don't think that's something that we're gonna come to an agreement to change. So I think what we should look at more is, okay, what's the total that we wanna get them? How much do we wanna cut? Is it just that full-time position? Is there an additional amount you guys wanna cut? Cause I don't think, talking about that 45,000, I think that the library board has kind of decided they don't wanna use the trust funds to pay that.
What's the number that you've calculated that with your recommendation of taking the full-time employee out, what is the bottom line for the fiscal year 23 budget? What do you have? What do you show?
So if we take the full-time one out, I estimate that around 45.
So that brings it down to what, 530?
570, 217, if my math is right.
Yeah.
572, 7.